This is Halloween, and if you love haunted history and cemeteries as much as I do, you may want to subscribe because I'm going to be taking you somewhere new every week. Today, we are headed to Temple Terrace. We're going to be visiting the Branch Family Cemetery and Robles Cemetery. But first, we're going to get some good grub at a breakfast staple in Seminole Heights. Enjoy! We're here in Seminole Heights at Three Coins Diner. If you have not been, you don't know what you're missing. Let's go in and get a bite to eat. We've arrived at Robles Cemetery. You're not going to believe how small and historic this cemetery is. It looks awesome. So let's go in and see what we can see. We at first drove past this little piece of history here. As you can see, I mean, we couldn't even see it, and we were right next to it on the road here. Because it's overgrown and it's obviously poorly managed, but it's so neat looking. Look at this. I don't know how many burials are here, but in this part of Tampa there are burials all over the place, unmarked. So look at this. James Houston, 1880 to 1915. That's awesome. Woodmen of the World, it says. Woodmen of the World Memorial. I'm walking over here. Some more old headstones. Oh. Burkardez. Herman H. Burkardez, born September 5th, 1880, died December 10th, 1909. Amazing. And over here, I'll take a few pictures of just still shots of this one, but there's literally, this is it, and whatever's behind that wall. And it's a very busy street, so it's loud. You know, but this is an old cemetery, and it looks amazing. Like, it looks really cool. It's kind of cryptic, but we got a DPJ Murphy, born January 5th, 1815, died October 2nd, 1874. That is wild. That should give you an idea as to when this cemetery was established. And then over here, there's a bit of a cemetery wall and quite a few headstones in here. Let's go check it out. Just gonna jump in here and talk about the Robles family. By the way, I've been saying Robles wrong my whole life. Robles is actually a Spanish name. Joseph Robles was a Spanish immigrant from Malaga, Spain. He arrived here in 1832 as a stowaway. Joseph jumped ship at St. Mary's Island and hid in a well until the ship left port. He then headed to Georgia, where he had fallen on hard times. Not knowing English, he made signs that read, "Hungry will work for food." The Michael Garrison family took him in and provided him with food and shelter in exchange for work. And he even learned to speak English. In 1941, he married Mary Ann Garrison in Fanning, Florida. She was the daughter of Michael Garrison, and they had 7 children together: Michael, John, Joseph, Seaburn, Green, Francis, and Horace. One of these children you can see are buried here. Joseph Paul Robles is laid to rest here alongside his wife and son, Jerry, and Jerry's wife. Robles and his family moved to Hillsborough County in the 1850s, and in 1878 purchased 80 acres of land from the federal government, which today is Robles Park. His contributions to the development of the area of Tampa earned him the honor of having his name commemorated on the park and an elementary school. Joseph Robles Sr. passed in 1907 at the age of 89. Mary Ann Garrison Robles preceded him in death in 1886 when she lost her battle with pneumonia. Joseph, the family patriarch, and Mary Ann were originally laid to rest here in the old Robles family cemetery, but were re-entered into Woodlawn Cemetery in the Mary Tanner Robles plot. I just thought that this story was so interesting that I wanted to share it with you. So that's a little bit of the history of the Robles family, a very important piece of Tampa history. Here's one of those awesome headstones with the shaking hands on the top. It came apart, you know, used to be sitting up there and it just fell over here. It's kind of hard to read. Got a Hal J and a, it looks like THOSA. And a Celia and a Lillian. The 2 ladies died in the late 1800s, and the 2 husbands passed the same year, 1914. That's wild, huh? And then this beautiful headstone, which was my saving grace for finding this place. You literally will drive past it and not even realize you're passing the cemetery. It just looks like a wooded area or an empty lot. You have to really be looking for it. So it's here. It's just really small and kind of hard to find. Kind of hidden in plain sight, if you will. Isn't that beautiful? This is the Burcordes family. Just like the one that we saw over that way. So Sarah and Thomas Burcordes. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I probably am not. But there are actually 3 burials here. Sarah, Thomas, and Dora, all passing in early 1900s and late 1800s. So this cemetery was definitely established probably mid to late 1800s. Still very neat. As you can see all the traffic going by, it is right off the road. it is. There's nothing separating this cemetery from the road, so very unique. I really am kind of digging it. I think it's cool. But as you can see, if you look around, I like to get a lawnmower over here and clean it up a bit. But there's some beautiful headstones here and a lot of history. We're here at the Branch Family Cemetery, established in 1894. Sadly, it's locked up. The gates are locked up and we can't get in. I'm still going to cover it though, because this is a historic cemetery here in Tampa. What I'm guessing is that it's closed due to vandalism. There's been cemeteries that I've gone to before that are permanently closed because vandals get in and they leave garbage behind, or even dump garbage, or they're doing crazy stuff in the cemetery and it's disrespecting the departed. So they'll go ahead and close it up, and probably the family members of the departed can call an office or something and get a key whenever they want to come and visit. But that's what I'm assuming is the issue. There are 2 Civil War veterans buried here just behind the fence. So as I was saying, at the Robles Family Cemetery, a lot of the first settlers from here in Tampa, some of our departed, lie in odd locations. Could have a house here in this area of Tampa and not even know it, and have a couple of graves on your property, just not even knowing it. They're just kind of laid to rest everywhere in this particular area of town. If you want to check out Chuck Matson, he has a website called hillsborocemeteries.com, and there he separates all the cemeteries in this area of town into categories: active, inactive, destroyed, moved, and lost. And there are a lot of stories he has on his website as well, if you look it up. He tells the story of 2 children at rest by the back steps of a home in East Hillsborough County. 4-year-old Clarence McDonald, who passed in 1899 from eating too many green bananas. I know it sounds crazy and it's not funny, the boy died, but I mean, too many green bananas, and that was at least what was noted as the cause of his death at the time. Mind you, back then we really didn't have the diagnoses that we now have today, because of all the science and technology that we now have. We can diagnose a condition, but back then they really didn't. So they probably did attribute a lot of deaths to stuff like that kind of sounds silly. These days I don't think they would say it was the green bananas that killed him. It probably was some kind of internal illness or something that his parents didn't really know he had. His brother Harrison passed the year before due to a gunshot obtained in a hunting incident. Their graves are part of the Lost McDonald Cemetery, and you can read these stories as well at tampabay.com. I found it very interesting to even learn that of this Tampa area. There's so many stories that I couldn't even very well tell you on this episode, but it was just really interesting to learn that all of this area of Tampa, or a lot of it, is grave sites. You could be walking on one, I could be standing on one right now. That's how spread out they are all over this area of Tampa. You may want to learn some of the history. If you do live in this area, you may want to learn some of the history and find out if where you're located was at one time a cemetery, because a lot of them have been built upon, like I said, lost. People just got rid of cemeteries back then. If it was a small one, they'd just do away with the headstones and just sell the property because it wasn't an established cemetery. So let's take a peek behind the fence here and just see what there is. We can't actually get in. It sucks, but I can totally understand. Out here on the gate, it's posted no trespassing, keep out, and it doesn't look like you can get in there unless you're a family member. And like I said, you call an office or a certain phone number and somebody from the city comes and lets you in. But there are several headstones back there. I don't know if you can see them very good, but not a lot. I'd say probably about 30 laid to rest here, maybe 40, but it's a shame we can't get in there. But just so you know, if you're interested in the Branch Cemetery, it is a private cemetery and it's closed to the public. I wanted to cover the Branch family cemetery because last week we were in Seffner, where some of the Branch family was laid to rest too. Now I don't know if it's the same Branch family. Evidently some of them are also laid to rest here, so I thought it'd be a good transition, but we can't get in, so that'll do it for this cemetery. We're headed out now. I know it was short and sweet, but I hope you learned something, enjoyed the footage. We'll get out of here. Since our cemetery day was short and sweet, we're gonna stop here and get a couple brews at the Flocale or Flocale. It's right here next to the front porch on Florida Avenue in Tampa. Let's go in and get a drink. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Unfortunately, all the cemeteries aren't always beautiful, but there is a lot of history in these locations. And regardless of whether I can get in or not, or whether it's a large cemetery or a small cemetery, I don't care if there's 2 headstones in there, I'm going to be visiting it. Because that's what I'm trying to do here. I want to visit all the cemeteries, hopefully all the cemeteries in the United States. I know that's a stretch. I'm already 41 years old. But I'm going to visit as many as I can, no matter what they look like. Just to bring you the history, and so that I can learn the history myself even. You know, it's so interesting to me. And these people just did really great things and should be recognized for that. And even if it's 100 years later or getting closer to a couple 100 years later, we should always respect that and try to learn more about our history. That does it for today's episode. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video, and I'll see you next time.